Good morning, everybody. It is about 8:45 in the morning. I'm getting ready to take my first break with work this morning. Today is a little bit of a slow start. I was planning on starting this morning, getting my new schedule set up where I would basically work out early in the morning before work, take a shower, all that, but I did not feel very well. As you may have noticed if you watch my weekend reading vlog, Saturday, I hurt myself where I basically slipped and fell on my porch and kind of basically didn't damage anything too bad, but I did, I think, bruise up a little bit my backside, basically where like the bottom of your pelvis sits when you sit down in a chair, like where all the pressure kind of sits on there, like holding all your weight up against that chair. That's where all my pain is centered currently. Yesterday, though, I did end up reading quite a bit. I read about another 72 pages of Bridge of Clay because I did some reading sprints last night on our Instagram for the first time with Adri, which was really fun. That was actually a really good time, and I'm really, really glad we were able to do that because it was something we really wanted to make sure we implemented was Instagram reading sprints, because sometimes our Discord bot doesn't always work, and especially because we wanted to really try to engage more with everybody, we thought that would be a really cool way for a lot of people to try and get involved. I'm actually really excited too because the book is actually getting to be really good, because the first 50 pages of Bridge of Clay I had talked about in my weekend reading vlog were that basically the writing style is very nonsensical. It doesn't really, like, I couldn't understand what was happening because I just didn't really know what each sentence was trying to say. Like, it was so bizarre, the writing style, that I couldn't dive into it. However, once we reached about 50 pages, like almost 50 pages exactly, I was able to go through and read it and actually understand what's happening. And so basically the way that I can describe the story is it's basically not exactly a coming of age story, but it does mostly deal with the middle child of this family where it's all boys and they have all raised themselves because unfortunately their father had ran out on them when they were all kind of younger, and then their mother passed away. And there's a lot of backstory in terms of how their mother came to, I think it's basically the England area, because there's a lot of times where there's like certain phrases that I don't know, or there's certain kinds of colloquialisms that are brought up, I think are more England based as opposed to America. And I believe Marcus Zusak is English as well, so I think that's a big reason as to why that is. But there's a whole backstory with how their mother essentially leaves, I think it's Poland, and comes to England to essentially get away from a lot of the persecution that was going on in the time. Basically what we know also going in is that at the beginning of the story there is this character called the Murderer that comes to the boys' house, and it's revealed that it's their father, and there's no reason as to why he's come back. It seems like it's kind of weird. He's been gone for a long time. The boys are not really that interested in him being back, except for Clay. Clay, for some reason, we don't know as of yet why, is wanting to actually go live with him. And I think that there's a lot of things about Clay that we're going to learn more as the story goes on, but he's kind of an enigma. He doesn't really talk a lot. If he does talk, it's only with one person, and that is this girl, Carrie, that he's developed this friendship and kind of almost romance with. And he basically decides to leave school so that he can be with his dad, who lives, I guess, pretty far away. But we don't really know why, especially because Clay has not seen his father in many years at this point. So, and then there's talk about the fact that he's going to be building this bridge, and the female interest of Clay, which is Carrie, talks about it basically in a sense that makes me think that Clay is going to be somehow this kind of bridge between their father and the rest of the boys, because Clay is kind of the guy that holds everybody together almost, even though he doesn't really talk. So I don't know, it's very interesting, it's very strange, I'm not quite sure. Like I said, I'm only like 122 pages in at this point, and I feel like the real plot hasn't picked up yet, if there is much of a plot. I feel like this is going to be much more of a character driven story than really plot driven too. But I don't know, we'll see. It's not necessarily my favorite thing as of yet, but it's getting better. I'm actually understanding each individual scene, which is nice, but I don't really know what to feel about it. And so far, I haven't listened to more of my audiobook for Where the Crawdads Sing as of yet. I'm actually going to be starting it hopefully today and actually catching up on it because I am a little behind on my reading schedule, and especially with the audiobook, I know I can fly through the next few parts of it, listening to it while working, stuff like that, and, you know, not doing my YouTube watch later playlist, which I should because I'm nearly done with it, but it's okay. And then basically on my breaks reading Bridge of Clay, which I'm coming up on my break right now, so I think I might read a couple chapters of that. One thing too I will say is Bridge of Clay is pretty awesome in the sense that like some of the chapters are pretty short, or almost all of the chapters are pretty short. Some of them are like as much as 2 pages. Some are a little bit longer, like 4 or 5, but they're pretty short, which I think makes it easier to fly through a lot. Then as far as Where the Crawdads Sing, not much I can really tell you about that because, like I said, I haven't read much since the last time I updated on that in my weekend reading vlog. All I really know is that, you know, it's about this girl Kaya in the 1950s. I'm actually going to probably restart that because I don't remember much of what happened during it in like the first 40 minutes that I listened to it. So it's probably just a good idea for me to like go back and restart because I wasn't that far into it anyway, but go back and restart it and get through the first 4 parts of it today because today is the 4th. Well, so far I haven't been able to read much today already because I had to do a couple of things on both of the breaks I've had so far, but I did go check the mail and I finally got my Secret Santa gift, which was a Starbucks gift card. This one has $15 on it, and I also got one for Christmas from my mom and dad, so now I have $30 in Starbucks gift cards and I'm super excited. This is shaping up to be a pretty okay morning so far. I can't complain. I realized though that because my AirPods had to charge this morning, I was gonna let them do that. So I've just been sitting and trying to clean up my watch later playlist, which I've only got a few videos left to watch, which probably I could get done before maybe my lunch today. And then that way I can spend the afternoon listening to the audiobook. And then because I got everything done during this break that I'm on currently until about 10:30 for the next 7 minutes, my next break I'll be able to actually start Bridge of Clay because I just had to get a couple things done over the other 2 breaks that were like other things outside of work that just took a little bit more time than I was thinking they would. And I have something coming to me that's supposed to get here tomorrow. I don't think that's going to happen though. It might not be till either Wednesday or Thursday. But I'm supposed to get my new camera, which I'm really excited about. My friend Jess was selling one of her cameras that she never really used, brand new, almost out of the box kind of thing, and she sold it to me, and I am so excited because now I actually have a full-on camera. Like after this week, I think most of my videos are gonna be off of that camera. I may, depending on when I get it, I may even transition from using my phone that I normally do to using that camera. So if the quality of the video changes by any means, I apologize. The camera does 1080p as far as I know. It's not quite 4K quality because it's a bit of an older camera. The camera that I bought was the Sony Cybershot, which it's basically like a cheaper version of the G7X Mark II. So it only records though in 1080p, whereas the Mark III, I think, records in 4K. It can, I think, but I'm excited nonetheless because I've been needing a camera for 3 years almost because the one I had it broke, the lens of it completely shattered, and then the microphone on it was not good at all. I always had to record an audio file while recording videos because the microphone was non-existent. But having done some research on this camera, the microphone's actually pretty decent. It works as it's supposed to. So I'm very excited, especially because it's almost a brand new camera. She just said that basically she didn't even use it really, and it was just kind of sitting in the box, and because she's moving, she wanted to, sell it. And I was like, dude, I'll fucking take it. Give it to me. I will take it off your hands. And it was kind of like a last minute Christmas decision for myself because I didn't really do a lot for myself for Christmas, which sometimes I do, which is also why I had that book haul that I did in my weekend reading vlog. Those were kind of like my own Christmas gifts to myself. And Robert did the same. We went out and got stuff for him for Christmas that he wanted to get for himself. So I felt it was pretty justifiable, and honestly I got it for a really good deal, and I'm just so excited to finally have now a working camera that Good morning, everybody. It is just about 9 o'clock almost on Tuesday. I unfortunately didn't do a lot of reading of Bridge of Clay. I only read about 13 pages because they kind of got crazy busy and everything, and I had therapy yesterday, and then I basically sat around and watched a couple movies with Robert. But I have a very, very exciting unboxing. I wanted to unbox this with you guys because I have been waiting to get a new camera for freaking ever, and when Jess said that she was going to be selling hers and at a pretty awesome price, at a very reasonable price for what she got it for, I was really excited, and it's a really good camera, so let's see it. Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm so excited. Very nicely packaged with a lot of paper. Thank you, Jess. Oh, wait. Oh no, this must have been the box that she just put it in, because I got very confused. So she gave me a little tripod that goes with it, which is awesome. That is amazing. I have to look in here if there's a cord, because she says she may have accidentally given me a cord that was hers, and I don't see one in here, but maybe it's in the box. So it's not the G7X Mark III. I was really scared for a second that that's what she sent me, but she probably just put it in that box because it's a pretty comparable sized box. So, all right, let's see it. Okay, more paper packaging. Good. Oh my God. Look at this. Oh my God, this is so cool. And it comes with a nice little wrist strap, which is really handy. And what's awesome about this is that the viewfinder here flips up. Ah! Oh my God, I'm so excited. I have been wanting something like this for freaking ever. And basically, when I had done research on this camera, a lot of people were comparing it to the G7X Mark II, which I think is also why she may have put it in the Mark III box, because I know she got the Mark III recently, and the cameras are really, really similar. This is the Sony CyberShot, and it's just basically like a cheaper version of the G7X, which is really cool. And came with the battery pack. This is the rapid travel charger, which is awesome. I will definitely use this, and I think this is the battery that comes with it. So thank you, Jess. That is really thoughtful of you. I think I'm gonna have to go get a memory card though for this, which is fine. And I am not seeing a cord, so I think she must not have thrown it in here, which good. This is so exciting because I have wanted a new camera, like I said, for freaking ever, because if you guys have been around for a while, you might have known that, like, when I first started really getting invested with doing stuff on my channel, that I had a camcorder, like a really old version kind of camcorder, and it worked okay. Like, the quality of the video was pretty all right for what I needed, but the mic on it was not very good at all. It actually was very kind of warbly and robotic almost, and so I would always have to do a separate voice file on my phone. I don't know. I am really excited though to see how this is gonna work. The tripod does have a bit of a swivel head to it. You just screw it in on the bottom of this, and then it stands out like that, which is really handy. And I actually really like this. This seems like a really sturdy one, because the one I have was just like a little dinky tripod for my phone. So I'm actually gonna see though, is there a memory card in here or no, because I don't know for certain, and I probably should figure that out before I get started so that I can figure out if I actually need to buy a memory card or not. So truthfully, like, you can change the settings and stuff, but this is pretty much how it looks. And then with the viewfinder, you can actually like see yourself and everything you're doing, which, especially for my bullet journal videos that I'm going to be coming out with in like the next several months, this will be really helpful, especially when I'm trying to angle my stuff a little bit to where I want to like be able to see how the videos are, and then I can have the viewfinder kind of more at like this 90-degree angle of sorts to be able to see that, you know, if the camera's in shot, if it looks, you know, pretty okay. Once your girl gets her memory cards, it's over for all of ya. Like, I'm so freaking excited. So thank you so much, Jess, for sending this to me. I know I paid you for it, but thank you for giving me the opportunity to take this off of your hands, because I am just beyond excited for what this is going to do for me. I am beyond excited to get back to making videos with a camera again. Like, okay, so I have just reached page 175 of Bridge of Clay. I'm actually thinking I like it a little bit more as time goes on, because I think this is really a story about Clay understanding as the reader this family, because there's a lot of hurt and a lot of pain and heartbreak that comes with being in this family. So let's start off with the parents, because that seems to be the main focus of a lot of the story, in addition to Clay, who is one of the young boys in this family. The first thing is that one of the first things we learn about the family is that the mother who passed away years ago, according to the story, was an immigrant from Poland. Her father had wanted her to go away. He was a single dad, taught her how to play piano, and she was a very good pianist and all of these things. and he basically wanted her to have a better life when she turned 18. He sends her on a train to go away. Wherever it is that she ends up is going to be where she's going to end up. So eventually she makes her way to, I think, like England, essentially, or the London area possibly. And a lot of the story talks about her life and how she basically got to where she wanted to be. Then there's another part of the story where we delve into the father figure, who in the book we first learn about him as the murderer, and it's not clear as to how he's a murderer. It is kind of the point of the story to build and understand where he came from and how he became to be known as the murderer according to the Dunbar boys. Michael basically grew up with a single mom, and he, from a very young age, has this fascination with Michelangelo, I think when he's like a young teenager. And the story I just read really about him was about when he had first got married to his childhood sweetheart, and how that whole thing, like, he spent so much time and energy in his art and in his work with art that basically it drove his first wife away, because she felt that he wasn't, you know, putting energy into their relationship after they got married. And it was a very short-lived marriage. Like, it wasn't more than a year before they ended up splitting up. And I don't really know what that has to do with a lot about what the story is yet, because we haven't really delved more into it. However, one of the main things about this story is that Clay, who was kind of the middle child of the Dunbar boys, he decides at about 15 to leave school and go live with his father, Michael, where all of the boys have not heard from him in years. They've all kind of written him off, and they kind of think that they're better off without them. Matthew, who is the eldest son of the Dunbar boys and is more so the narrator of the story, talks about how, like, he wants nothing to do with their father, doesn't want the boys to have anything to do with them, because he thinks that it's just going to lead to a lot of heartbreak, and they're kind of doing fine on their own, despite the fact that they lost their mother and then had also had their father walk out on them. Now, when the father figure comes up in the very beginning, like I said, he's dictated as the murderer. So there obviously is some major animosity with this family. But Clay is not of that mindset. I think Clay is kind of supposed to be this metaphorical bridge between the boys and Michael again, because of the fact that, for one, there's a lot of talk about bridges in terms of what Clay's purpose is going over to Michael. Now, the first thing I will say, though, is when he does move over to Michael's home, there isn't really any connection. Clay is someone who does not really speak a lot unless he thinks it's absolutely necessary. The only person he really feels massively comfortable with is this girl, Carrie, that he's known for many, many years. Kind of a similar beginning of a relationship to what I saw with Michael's first wife, where they were friends for a long time. They connected over very similar things. And another thing is that the boys also have taken a lot of their personality and a lot of what they do from both their mother and their father. For instance, Michael was obsessed, like I said, with Michelangelo, and Clay also is obsessed with Michelangelo. He loves the art, and there is a story that he reads, that Michael read several times, called The Quarryman, and I don't believe it's by Michelangelo, but it's a story that Michael had really loved, and it's a story that Clay also then shares with Carrie. There's basically like a lot of parallels I am seeing between Michael and Clay, that I feel like this is going to be a kind of coming of age story where Clay is going to, I think, understand a lot more about his father. But I think it's also, you know, a story of him trying to mend this family back together, that there's like a lot of misunderstandings as to what exactly happened, and a lot of misunderstandings in terms of how Michael was, you know, maybe unable to take care of all these boys, and what he thought, you know, why he thought maybe walking away was best. Very sad story, truthfully, but I think it's also something I'm really interested in, because I feel like the writing style just threw me off very, very easily at the beginning, but now the more that I delve into it, the more that I really get involved in the story and see the pieces kind of coming together, especially on Michael's end of his story, I feel like I'm enjoying the story a little bit more the more that I read it. So I don't really know what exactly I'm going to do from here in terms of how much I'm going to read. I do plan on reading for a while after work, because it's going on 1:45 right now. I still have a couple breaks to where I can read more of this, but I think after work I'm going to sit and read a good chunk of this before Robert gets home. I still haven't really picked up Where the Crawdads Sing. I really need to do that today, so I think that while I do dishes, I'm going to get started on that, and then maybe spend the evening focusing on that a little bit and getting as much of that through as I can before diving into it tomorrow during my work day when I, get back, because tomorrow I have an eye appointment. I have my first eye appointment in a couple years to get new glasses and contacts, because I've had these lenses for a couple years, and I think it's time for me to start getting new ones, because I'm noticing I'm getting a lot more headaches with working from home on a computer screen all the time, which normally, even when I was in the office, I would be staring at a screen for about 8 hours. So just in general, the last year or so, I've realized that I'm getting a lot more headaches, and so I want to get new lenses and also get a blue light filter on them. And I also would like to get contacts again, because it has been a long time since I've worn contacts, and truthfully, I would like to go back to be able to wearing them more often, and then kind of being able to just not have to wear glasses all the time, because sometimes it can be a bit of a pain, as easy as it is to put them on as opposed to putting in contacts. But I do plan on, like I said, listening to Where the Crawdads Sing a lot tomorrow when I get back, because my appointment's at 9:30, so I need to be basically done. I have to work for an hour, be done, and then I have to be there by 9:15 though, because I have to fill out paperwork and stuff for them, and I have to figure out how exactly I'm going to get there, because Robert is going to have to work tomorrow, which means I either have to walk or I have to get a lift. But the Lyft system that is out here doesn't have very many drivers, so it is a complete crapshoot if I'm going to end up being able to get someone to drive me. And I would walk, but it would take me a very long time to walk there, because it's not like it's just at the end of the block. It's at least a good mile down the road, maybe about 1.5 miles. And I don't know if I want to walk that far to go to an eye appointment, so we'll see. Good morning, guys. It is about 8:33 in the morning. I am doing the little bit of work that I can today before I head off to my eye appointment this morning. I realize I'm gonna have to walk there because there are no car services around, no Uber, no Lyft around here, which is kind of weird, but I don't know why that is, but it's just what's happening. So today, it's thankfully only a 20-minute walk, because it's not quite 1 mile down the road, or at least the path I'm taking is not quite 1 mile, so I can make it there with plenty of time and everything, so that's nice. The only sucky part is it's cold, so I'm just gonna have to deal with it, but it's whatever. I do what I have to do, because Robert has our only car, because I sold my car back in October because I never used it with the whole thing with working from home, and it was old, and so I just wanted to get rid of it, kind of thing. And eventually we are hoping that maybe when I get the okay to actually go back to the office, that I will have a vehicle of my own again. So we'll see. It's not really guaranteed, because my job is, it's so easy to do from home that it's entirely possible that once everybody's able to get the vaccine and stuff, they may still have us stay home regardless, because we don't really need to be in the office to do any of our work, because it's all done from our computers and stuff, and we've proven that we can work from home and be productive in all these things. And truthfully, I even think that I prefer working from home in a sense, because I don't know, I just feel like I don't want to be around a bunch of people. I feel like even if I get the vaccine, I'm gonna want to stay on my own, because I'm constantly afraid of getting sick, because I have had asthma in the past, and I know that this is really, that COVID basically is really attacking the lungs and stuff. And I know a lot of people who've gotten it that have had severe lung issues afterwards, and that have not gone away, and seem to have they have a lot of scar tissue in their lungs because of what COVID did to them. So anyway, on a happier note, I hope that, in the future I will maybe have my own car, but at the moment it's not a necessity. But for days like today, when I have an appointment that I have to make, it's a little cumbersome that I don't have the ability to just get in a car and drive there myself. And I would use a car service like Uber or Lyft or something, but they are not apparently really available in this town, which is very bizarre to me. So anyway, today I do, though, want to let you know where I ended up. So yesterday I ended up on page 210 of Bridge of Clay, still going strong with that. Not really certain what my rating is of it. I feel like it's fine. I'm able to get through the book, but it's not my most favorite thing in the world. So it's kind of sitting at a 2-star for me, honestly, because I mean, with the writing style, like, I understand some points of what the story's talking about. Like, I get the idea of the fact that we constantly are going back and forth between Matthew talking about the parents and how they got together and all these things about them and their past, and then we talk about Clay and how he has moved in with his father. I feel like it's just a book based in metaphors that are basically like just going way over my head. And that's fine. It's just not how I enjoy reading a book, and I feel like that's really kind of bringing down a lot of the story, because I think that with all of the use of metaphors, it's making it hard for me to connect with any of the characters. I feel like it makes the story a little nonsensical in some ways. But I am finishing it, so usually with my rating, the way that I do it is if I can finish a book, it gets 2 stars, and then you add stars on based on other things about it, like the plot, the world, characters, things of that nature. But I don't feel like this book is really doing a lot for me, because I'm missing all these metaphors that are really important, and that comes down to the writing style, which is a really big thing for me when it comes to like my taste in reading. Is I am a big person on writing style. If I don't understand what's happening, if I don't like the way that things are structured, I am not going to really have much to say about anything else with the book, because I won't be able to usually understand what's happening. I also restarted Where the Crawdads Sing and got up to where I was last time, and I was able to understand the story and even got to read a couple more chapters of that. So all I really know at this point is I'm on chapter 4 of Where the Crawdads Sing, and all I really know about it is that it is about, in the prologue, there is this talk about a murder that's happened in this kind of town where I think it's somewhere in the South. I want to say either Mississippi or Louisiana. I don't remember. There's a lot of talk about swamps, though, but that could be anywhere in the South. But basically, it does follow this girl, Kaya, who is like the youngest child of this family, and it starts in like the 1950s and goes forward, basically. And she basically grows up where her father is an alcoholic and he abuses their mother, and one day her mother just up and leaves and never comes back, and then slowly over time all of her siblings leave as well, leaving her to be the only one that is there with her father. And she tries to avoid him as much as she can because he is abusive and he's a drunk all the time. So she does her best to basically try to live her life, but unfortunately when she's left on her own, she's about 6 years old, almost 7. So this is going to be a very heart-wrenching story, and it's going to be something I think that is going to be hard for me to listen to at times, because I have when it comes to kids, I'm very attached. So I feel like I'm going to be really, really sad throughout most of the story when it talks about Kaya, but it also jumps ahead a lot in time. So she's going to basically at some point be like very early on, like almost a grown adult. So we'll see. But the point that I just did get to is the last chapter I listened to, which was chapter 3, is that basically there is this boy that lives in town who kind of is one of those kids that sticks their nose up at Kaya and her family, because Kaya lives in the swamp, whereas everybody else lives more in town. And they find him dead in the swamp area. There are no footprints around him indicating there were other people there, not even his footprints indicating that he may have walked into the swamp and accidentally like hurt himself to where he died. All they know is that he's dead in the swamp, and there's no evidence of anyone having been around to possibly have killed him. So there's a little bit of a mystery going on with that, I think, and it's probably going to be a hot topic of the story, and it could possibly be that they're going to try to pin it on Kaya because of the fact that she's out there all by herself, stuff like that. Like, I can see how that would be a plot device of some kind. Yeah, that's basically it. I have about 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes before I have to head out. Because it's a 20-minute walk, my appointment's at 9:40, and they wanted me there between like 15 to 20 minutes before my appointment. So as soon as it hits 9 o'clock, I'm going to have to like hightail it out of here. So that's going to be my plan. I'm going to listen to Where the Crawdads Sing on my walk there, just because it'll give me some good audiobook time, about 20 minutes. And then that way too, I just get some time in with it. I do want to try to get to maybe part 6 today, but I don't know, just because I thought I was going to get to part 5 yesterday, but I didn't even start listening to it until I went to do dishes last night. And then I was not feeling very well last night. I was very tired and groggy, so I went to bed about like, I don't know, 9:30. So that's kind of how my day's been. But I'm gonna quickly do my tarot cards for the day and put that in my journal, and then I probably by that time will be able to head out to my eye appointment. Okay, and so it is almost 11:30 in the morning. I just got back from my eye appointment. I had to walk the whole way, had to get my eyes dilated, which I was not expecting, and ordered my glasses that I'll be getting in a few weeks. I had to schedule a contact exam because I thought I was going in there to get one while I was there, but they forgot. So I have to go back in on the 21st to get a contact progression, and they gave me some trials to work with, but the right lens is not right because it's not exactly my prescription. It's a little off, so they wanted me more so to test out the left one and then come back and then test out the correct one for my right eye so that I could get the correct prescription and everything I need. I also today got a package from my best friend who is all the way out in California. So I'm gonna go open that real quick, and then I gotta get back to work, and I'm gonna have to probably work over tomorrow and even start early tomorrow to make up my time because I was actually there a little bit longer than I expected to be. So I don't know, it's by like half an hour, so maybe I'll just add half an hour to my time for tomorrow or so, but I'm gonna work at least a little bit for a while, probably like half an hour, and then I could take my lunch. I'm fucking winded. That was like it was a mile down the road, so it wasn't that far. It was like 20 minutes, but I did not necessarily think I was gonna get a workout today, so there's that. Okay, all, it is almost 10 to 3 in the afternoon. I actually got completely caught up with my audiobook for Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I just listened to part 6 of 11, so I am finally all caught up with that one. Still not really caught up with my physical reads, unfortunately, but it's truthfully whatever. Where the Crawdads Sing, though, it is actually kind of heartbreaking because like the whole story is following this girl Kaya, and you're learning about her as she grows up, where she basically takes care of herself. Her mom runs out on the family when she's like 6 years old, and then slowly her other siblings start to leave as well, leaving her with her drunk father all by herself to take care of the both of them, and she's like 6 years old. So this is like back in like the 1950s as well. But alongside of this like coming of age story kind of thing, there's this murder that pops up in like 1969 that everyone knows the person that's killed. He was kind of a good old boy. He was they call him the Tomcat of the area. And so it was a huge shock that he's been found dead. They don't know if it's murder, but they're basically, from what I gather, like the synopsis of the story is that they believe it has something to do with Kaya, even though she's kind of a shut-in, that people don't really know her. And so they're kind of like going at the same time, but we are going to basically see what happens in Kaya's timeline to lead up to the fact that the murder mystery timeline goes on. Like, it's actually really good. I really like the pacing of it. I feel like it's very beautiful writing. It's not super simple, but it's also not super metaphorical like Bridge of Clay is. I feel like I can follow this a lot more than I can Bridge of Clay, and Bridge of Clay, I seriously want to DNF it so bad because I just am so lost with it, but I can't because I have to finish my D&D books in their entirety. But I think that after I'm done with this book, I'm gonna unhaul it because at this point, nearly halfway through it, I see no reason for me to keep it. This is so fucking boring for one. I don't feel like I connect to any of the characters, and it all stems from this shitty writing style that doesn't make any sense. It's so metaphorical that you can't even understand like what is supposed to be the metaphor and what's not. And like, I get the fact, like, I guess the only redeeming factor of this is I like seeing the story of their parents and how they met, but that's all I can really understand. I don't understand at all what is exactly supposed to be happening to Clay. I don't understand why Matthew is the one that's telling the story, because he's not someone who's supposed to know everything that goes on unless Clay told him exactly every single little thing that happened while Clay was with his dad. But because it's on my D&D TBR, I have to finish it, so this is making it so much harder to read. Like, the only reason I'm even flying through it, I feel like at this point, is that the chapters are super short and I can read like 4 or 5 chapters in one sitting and then call it good. I can't do it. I'm so fucking frustrated. I just want to move on to something else and leave this one in the fucking dust, but I can't. I gotta wait. And good morning, everybody. It is now going on 8:30 in the morning on Thursday. I have a very long day of work today because of the fact I had my eye appointment yesterday, and it took me like 2.5 hours to go through the whole thing. So I've been up since about 7:30 this morning and have immediately basically gone into work. I will be on until 6 because, like I said, I basically was gone for 2.5 hours, so I'm adding on 2 hours to the end of my day, and then I started half an hour early to kind of balance everything out, just because I have to have 40 hours in by the end of the week. It's non-negotiable. It's just what I have to do. So that means that tomorrow I have a very normal 8 to 4, so that makes it easier, because then that way I can do streaming tomorrow, which last night I did my first stream and it was really good. I had a really good time. The first 5 minutes or so, though, I forgot I had muted my mic so that I didn't have a crap ton of background noise going on while preparing for the stream, so I forgot that, but thankfully the only people that were really there were my mom, my sister, and my friend Teresa. And then a couple other people hopped in for a hot second or two. So it was really fun. We had a good time. We basically decided that the Sims 4 thing that we're going to do every Wednesday is we are going to do the 100 Baby Challenge with the Black Widow Challenge, where basically instead of it being where the 100 Baby Challenge is just you don't talk to the men anymore, it's you actually get to kill them off once you have gotten pregnant by them. So that was really fun. It took me a little bit to figure out how to get the pool to work, though, because we're using the pool method because it's the easiest way to, I think, kill off all of the men. The thing was, I couldn't figure out how my mouse was to work. I kept messing up because my mouse kept messing up with me, and I think I was just going way too fast most of the time. So anyway, that's kind of the idea of it, and I'm really excited because then Fridays we get to do something a little different. I don't know what exactly I'm gonna do. It's gonna depend on how I feel tomorrow, if I want to do Fall Guys or if I want to do something else. I'm gonna take a little bit of a break from work because I have been working for the last hour and read a little bit of Bridge of Clay as much as I can. Today I think I'm only gonna listen to the 7th part of Where the Crawdads Sing, just because I listened to so much of it yesterday. Hello, it is now going on 10 after 4. I have to work till 6 tonight technically, but basically from here on out, unless something comes in the next hour, I'm probably not gonna have anything to do. Most people I work with are done by 4. My team lead is done by 5, and so I do not think it's going to be I'm gonna have much to do. I have a little bit of busy work I can honestly do for the next couple hours, but nothing super major projects I have to work on is something I'm gonna be doing today. And then I don't really know what else I'm gonna do today. I did listen to the one part of Where the Crawdads Sing that I wanted to read. I'm currently on part 8 of 11, so that's going really well. I really like that story a lot. It's very heartbreaking. I think just alone Kaya's story is really heartbreaking. I also have reached over halfway finally of Bridge of Clay. It is actually getting a lot better. I think today, like the last time I said that I was having a good time with reading it, I'm feeling it again. I also feel too, this might have been a better option for me to maybe listen to an audio, because I read a few passages aloud, and I don't know if it's necessarily this particular part of the story, because I think this particular part of the story I'm in is just very clear for the most part, but I felt like reading aloud a couple passages of this, just to kind of see how the sound of the story goes, and if the actual sentences are grammatically and structurally unsound, trying to test it out and see what exactly is about the writing I don't necessarily like. There were a lot of scenes that I feel like were really, really impactful doing it like that. And I think it's a good story. I love the concept of it. I love the idea of this being a bit of a coming of age story where we follow, from the oldest brother's perspective, the middle child who is trying to basically mend this family that has gone through so much trauma, so much anger and sadness, and how they split apart. And they're all, in a sense, still growing up. Matthew's the oldest in his early 20s, I think. And he, though, is not a full-grown adult because he's not where he needs to be. And there's a lot of history, especially where we're at now with the story. We're learning about like this last part I've been reading has been about the family, like after Penelope and Michael ended up getting married and how they raised their kids. Like there's certain scenes that they come up with about Matthew and Clay specifically, because Matthew's the narrator and Clay's more the main character. But like the amount of love that these two had, like it doesn't make sense to me that they would have just like split up or anything. It's actually more along the lines of, I think that Penelope passed away, which we've known like early on in the book, but she passed away, and then essentially from that, Michael didn't think that he could care for the kids all by himself, and so instead of being like an actual father, he was a coward and left. And I think that that's why there's a lot of animosity with the family, is because especially Matthew being the oldest, he was left to be the one to take care of all the boys, and he needed a father when in that really dark time, and his father just kind of gave up because Penelope was the only thing he really seemed to love, even though he loved his boys. I think this is honestly like a really awful case of that, with his wife now being gone, the woman he loved the most in the world, it made him very blind to understanding that what he still had, which was his boys, and it made him scared, and so then he ran away to avoid having to deal with any of that. I think that Michael is like someone who Clay really looks up to, and that's why and he wants to know what exactly happened, especially since their mother died, and like he's at an age where like it's a good time for him to be exploring that. He's like 15 or so. So I feel like the story, it's a coming of age story where he's trying to understand what exactly happened to his father when their mother died, and then like he's also trying to build that bridge back with his family, which is kind of the actual like metaphorical bridge that is being talked about in the story. But in actuality, what he does do is he goes to live with his dad and decides he wants to actually build a bridge because his father's in construction. His father knows everything about building anything, and there's this kind of whole, he's fascinated by art and architecture, Clay is, and he wants to build this bridge that is like something it's a passion project, but it's a metaphorical bridge and a physical actual real bridge as well. To go kind of into my real thoughts about this now that I'm over halfway through it and have some, I think, more constructive thoughts of the story, it's not a bad book by any means. I think that the idea of the story, like I said, is what is really good for this. The concept of the story is there. I think though that, as I've said before, the writing style of this is not something that is as coherent to a lot of people. Basically, the language of the story is not as accessible because Marcus Zusak talks a lot in metaphors. He talks a lot in like very flowery sentences with a lot of metaphors that basically like paint a certain kind of picture. But if you are not someone who is super well versed in metaphor, like you're not going to get it. And even someone as well versed in metaphor might have a hard time reading it. I feel like I must have missed a lot with The Book Thief because I feel like the overall atmosphere with The Book Thief and Bridge of Clay is similar. But I also feel like that sometimes I remember the writing in The Book Thief was a little hard to handle because it was so very flowery, and especially when it came to Death talking about himself and what he experiences in The Book Thief, it was just something that like I couldn't fully picture it because I'm not someone who is able to fully understand metaphor all the time. I can do for, in a lot of instances, if it's very plain writing otherwise, and there's like a metaphorical flowery line within otherwise a plain text kind of scenario, then I can see it. But if a whole story is based in metaphor, then it's harder for me to read. And I think that that's been my big issue. I think that the overall relationship between the siblings, though, is what is really selling this for me, because I think that especially with this particular part I'm reading, which I think is part 5 of the book out of 8 or 9, there's a point you get in the story where you do start seeing and understanding everything that's happened before. You do start to understand what exactly is happening, but it's almost like 200 pages in before you start understanding what the whole point of the story is. And I don't know. I feel like though by the end of it, I am gonna like really, really love it because I'm already like at a point where like the story's gotten better and I'm more interested in learning more about the family and more interested in going back to it every time I get a chance to. I don't know, maybe it was just the very beginning of the story I couldn't do. Maybe it was just everything leading up to, Clay actually going to his dad, because I feel like that's where a lot of the stuff started to pick up, was when Clay went to go live with his dad, things started to actually make sense a lot more, and we learned more about Penny, and we learned about Michael, and we learned about them getting together, and we learned about how they are as a family, and how that kind of all happened before Penny passed away, and all these things. And I feel like those sections were great, but like the more present day stuff was really weird because like you don't quite understand the relationship that Clay has with Carrie Novak. You know that they are like really, really close. Like he like is in love with her basically, but like they have this weird fascination with Michelangelo, which also is something that Michael was obsessed with when he was Clay's age. They read the story, The Quarryman, that, you know, is supposed to be representative of Clay, which I don't understand. I just feel like there's so many small details about this story, like the Quarrymen and the idea of Michelangelo and like why it is that they're obsessed with it, and then the racetrack and, you know, Carrie Novak being a racer and all these things. And, you know, I just feel like those minutia of things do not make sense in the grand scheme of this story because it's so overshadowed with all this metaphorical writing. And I just kind of want to understand, what is it about these things that make these boys happy? Like, we know that Clay is a huge runner and he runs for money, and, you know, all of the brothers pitch in, like they set up a betting war of whether or not Clay's gonna beat these other guys in the neighborhood and all these things. Like, I get that part. I understand that Carrie is a horse racer, so she's like super involved with it. Clay is also really involved with the horse race track for one reason or another. Still not really clear on that. Not super certain what it is about the Quarrymen that they both love so much, what it is about Michelangelo that they adore so much. I understand how Michael is appreciative of Michelangelo. There was a whole backstory with that, but like, these little details are just so frustrating to me. Like, I want to know why that they're so important, but I felt like in the beginning of this story, when talking about them, I couldn't follow along with why they were so obsessed with them because everything was shrouded in metaphor. And it just Good morning, everybody. Please don't mind the very messy bun. I have not really done anything with my hair since I woke up this morning. It's just after 10 a.m. and I'm taking a break from work, and so I went to go outside to check the mail, and I have a very mysterious package. I don't know who this is from or anything, because I don't think I've bought anything online recently that needed to be delivered. I know that like my sister has something for Christmas that didn't get here yet. Robert had something for me for Christmas that didn't get here, and my mom did as well. But my sister and my mom are probably gonna bring those with them when they come see me tomorrow. But we're gonna open this because I have no idea what this is. The only thing I knew that was coming this past week was my camera from Jess, which I don't know. This is interesting. I'm gonna see what this is. Looks like a little gift box of some kind. It says, "Thank you for your order. We hope you enjoyed your purchase." What? I don't remember ordering from anybody. What's this from? I'm actually genuinely confused. I don't know who or what this is for. I don't even know what this is supposed to be. Okay, but we've got, there's candles or something. There's like fun stuff in here. What is this? There's a lavender salt scrub. This is from Erin's All Natural, which I don't know who sent me this. And then there's a French lavender scented soy candle, which it all smells wonderful. I love the smell of lavender so, so much. It's like amazing. And then there's a little something for you to enjoy. It's in like this little pouch. Oh my God, I know what this is. Oh my God. Okay, so let me back up a hot second here. A few days ago, actually like right after Christmas, I found out that one of my friends who was in my wedding, one of my best friends, Erica, you guys have seen her. If you've been around my channel since like the very beginning, Erica was on the channel a couple different times at the very beginning of my channel. I feel so happy now that I know what this is from because I was so very much confused. But a couple days after Christmas, it had to have been like the night after Christmas or something like that, but I found out that she got engaged and she had called me basically telling me that she and her now fiance got engaged and they were planning on the wedding, and she messaged me then like a week later. I knew I was going to be a bridesmaid of some sort because she's one of my best friends and she kind of had already told me that she was planning on it. She messaged me a couple days ago or like a week ago or so saying that basically with images of like, hey, this is the color we're gonna have for our dress. It's like this really pretty dusty blue, and she's like, all the girls are gonna get the same color, but you can pick whatever dress you want. And I had a more formal box basically being sent to you that's gonna have ask you to be my bridesmaid, but I haven't sent it in the mail yet and all these things. So this is basically that box, which makes me so excited because I genuinely got this box in the mailbox and I was like, what the hell is this? Who the fuck is this from? And I'm still so confused, like as you saw, like pulling it out, and then I see the note on the bottom of this from Erica, and I'm like, okay, I know an Erica, but which Erica is it? And so it's my best friend. Oh my God. Okay, so this looks like it's lavender like tea or something possibly. It's just like a plastic bag of what looks like lavender seeds or something like that. So this is probably like loose leaf lavender I could put in like tea. Then there is a peppermint lip balm made with beeswax, shea butter, coconut oil, vitamin E, and peppermint oil, and it's just very simple packaging. This is basically, I guess, like a little self-care box, which I adore. And then this looks like to be a lavender marble soap, which I love. I love bath stuff so much. It's my favorite thing. And the note she has says, Gabby, we've been through so much craziness, and this craziness is no different. You're my soulmate, and you know you have to be there. Love, Erica. I've read a little bit more of Bridge of Clay. Haven't really started into my audiobook yet. I have a meeting in about less than 20 minutes, though, and I think it's going to take like an hour. So I think probably after lunch, I will get through the chapter that I need, or the part that I need to for where the crawdads sing, because it's only like a little bit more than an hour, so that's fine. I guess the only thing I will say as far as an update is I do think that I'm going to end up giving Bridge of Clay like a 3-star because I like I said before, I am really enjoying it now more than I did when I first read like the first quarter of it. So I think that this is a book where like you have to get through the first quarter to understand what the story is, and then like you're going to hit a really good running pace with it, because the first quarter I think is a lot of getting used to the writing style and understanding kind of what the whole point of the story is. And if you can get past the metaphorical and lyrical writing that seems to have no sense added into it with the story, I think that once you get to like really understanding the flashbacks, especially when you start seeing the flashbacks of Penny and her life and then seeing Michael's life, you know, that kind of really makes the story a lot better. But I do think that even though like this may still, you know, be enjoyable to the very end, it's going to get a 3-star for me because of the fact that the first quarter of the story made me feel very frustrated with the writing style, and that still has kind of carried over the course of the rest of the book. And I just feel like it's not something that I would really reread after this, but I'm currently on page 322, so I still have over 200 pages left to read of this, so that could change my mind whether the ending makes me feel like it's something I would want to reread. But at this current moment, it does feel like something I probably would never read again and would then possibly unhaul, because I am kind of at a point in my life where, like, if a book is something I'm not going to want to reread for any particular reason, you know, I feel like there's no point in having it on my shelves. And I do have an extensive library at this point that I feel like I really want to go and find books that I feel like I've read and I liked, but I don't necessarily feel like I'm gonna reread, and kind of just go through and unhaul a lot of them. Like, there's definitely Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday morning. It is going on like 9:45, maybe almost 10. And okay, so last time I updated you guys was before I finished work. So I streamed last night. I ended up actually streaming a little bit longer than I expected to. So I was kind of like on a roll with what I was doing. I decided to do The Sims 4 again today because I couldn't really get Fall Guys to work, unfortunately. But I think I know now what I have to do for that to get it to work next time when I decide to do it. So we made a lot of progress with the 100 Baby Challenge and the Black Widow Challenge, except that we can't really do the Black Widow Challenge anymore because basically there's a bug right now in the game where, like, you can't keep Sims, like, stuck on your plot. Like, you can't trap them to where you could kill them or anything, which sucks, but it's just a bug that I'm going to have to wait for the next patch update to go through to fix, hopefully. So what I'm going to do, though, right now is do some journaling. I didn't do any more reading after work yesterday. I did my streaming, hung out with Robert and had dinner with him, and then I was exhausted. Like, I don't know what it is, but I'm finding that because I'm so new to streaming right now, it is wiping me out. Like, even just doing 2 hours of streaming, I'm like wiped out afterward. So I didn't make much more progress in Bridge of Clay, which seems to be a pattern. Like, one day I'll read at least like 70 pages, and then the next day I will read maybe at least 20. Yesterday I ended up reading only about, let's see, where was I at? I was on 3:09, and I had read about 30 pages about yesterday. So that's kind of been the pattern, is like I'll read like anywhere between like 70 to maybe 90 pages one day, and then the next day it'll be like less than 50, sometimes even less than 20. So that's kind of the idea. But right now what I'm going to do is, like I said, fill out my journals for today, do my tarot for the day, and also listen to my audiobook for Where the Crawdads Sing and get that part done and over with, so that I can spend the rest of the day mostly focusing on my mom and my sister, who are going to be here hanging out for a little bit. So I spent like probably the last half hour going through my bookshelf, looking at books either I have read and I'm not really interested in rereading at any point in time, or going through and finding books I may not have read that I'm not really interested in reading anymore. I found 14 books out of my whole library that I am willing to get rid of because either I've read them before and, you know, whatever. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. That did actually open up almost a whole half of a shelf on mine, but because the rest of my TBR is on a cart, that does mean that could get shifted to where it would go back to pretty much how it was before. But I'm actually pretty happy with that, because like I feel better in having seen some of the books that I still have that either I've read and never continue, like their series, or I have read and like haven't really read more from that author, has made me a little bit more excited to like go into doing a lot. And I do also, now that I have my temporary library card and basically just have to wait for the library to fully physically open for me to go get like a full-on one, I'm actually really excited because I think I'm going to try to use my local library again a lot more instead of purchasing a lot of books, and especially because I'm on a book buying ban and I know that they have a lot of new releases there and like a really extensive catalog of stuff at this library. That makes me really excited to go use them again because, you know, I have that access, and unfortunately, like, I have to just, you know, wait for stuff to come in, be on hold and all that stuff, but at least I can get myself put in lines to be able to to get those things. So Mama's here, and we've got my sister and Robert here too, hanging out. We're actually just sitting outside of an antique store at our mall because Robert wanted to go in there with Tori, and Mom's got a bum foot, so we didn't want her to walk too much more. Sad. But first thing we did was we came to Barnes & Noble, and since I'm on a book buying ban, I didn't want to buy anything, but Mom got a few things.
Mom's an enabler.
A little bit. But Tori got 3 books. She got Two Can Keep a Secret by Karen M. McManus. She got a couple others that I don't know the names of, but then Mom got a couple books herself, or at least she got a book 2 copies of a book that we're gonna read together, which it's, I don't remember the name of it, but it's Brene Brown. For one, my therapist has recommended me read, a couple different kinds of books, because I read Self-Compassion by Kristen Neff that seemed to be really good, and Mom loves Brene Brown as like a psychologist and everything, so we thought maybe reading something together would be really fun. So
yeah, just self-improvement, letting yourself off the hook.
That's what it was, like the something about imperfection.
The gifts of imperfection.
Something like that. So,
yep.
Because I have a huge, that's one of my big problems, is that I have like a huge thing about being perfect all the time, and like that's a big trigger for my anxiety, is like not having things go exactly the way I want it to, because I am a perfectionist at heart. We both are, so definitely something we both could benefit from in a lot of ways.
For sure.
So we're just kind of hopping around doing some stuff while Mom and Tori are up here visiting, and they brought us some cool gifts. We got some bottles of wine, we got a game to add to our game collection, and also a wax warmer, and we also got a card from some family of mine that couldn't make the wedding back in October, so we've got that. And then we're just kind of hanging around and just...
We're going to do lunch.
Yep, we're going to do a late lunch because it's already almost 3 o'clock.
Oh boy.
So, it's just been a good day, and I think we're going to have just a good old time. And,
yes.
If they find more books at Target, that might happen, because there's a whole book section at Target too, so.
Books.
Books, coffee, food. That's usually how time with Mom and Tori is.
Well, those are the necessities.
Yes. Oh, you also got A Discovery of Wishes by Deborah Harkness.
I did. I'm looking forward to reading that.
Yeah, it's really good. From what I know of everyone on BookTube that has read it, it's really good. And then, like I said, there's a TV series that's come out. I think they only have 1 season so far.
And do you know what the name of the show is?
I think it's A Discovery of Witches.
Is it? Because
I think so.
There's the 3 books.
Yep.
That are part of
the All Souls trilogy.
All Souls trilogy. Okay.
Yeah. Right. I think the show though is just A Discovery of Witches.
Okay.
So
cool.
Let us know down in the comments below if you've watched that and had read the books, what you thought of it, because Mom's really excited. It's one that I've been meaning to get to for a while. I can't remember if I have the first one on Kindle or not, but if I don't, maybe I can talk myself into getting it, because it might be cheap.
Well,
so
we'll check it out.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Maybe that's another book we buddy read together, and then we watch the show.
That would be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun. So.
I'd like to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So I think we're gonna get ready to head off here pretty soon. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna go see where maybe Robert and Tori ended up, and let's catch you guys later. Bye. So I meant to close out yesterday's vlog with this. So sorry if I look in this really interesting viewfinder. This is the first time I'm recording something on my new camera. So I just recorded my tarot spread for this week, and that looked really awesome. I'm excited to see how that footage comes out, because I haven't really worked with this camera yet. I just got the SD card for it yesterday that I needed, and my mom, because my mom forgot all of the SD cards I had from my old camera that she was supposed to bring. I didn't get a chance to close this vlog though after we got back, because we got back and had dinner, or like a late lunch, early dinner kind of thing, and then Robert and I just basically hung around and watched a couple movies, and we, then went to bed basically. So nothing else really happened that I could tell you about. But it is Sunday. Today I just, am gonna do my editing. I also recorded my Jade Empire video after having major technical issues with it, but I finally was able to get it to work, so there's that. Now I think it's just figuring out how exactly am I going to get this SD card moved into my computer, because I think it has an SD slot. I'm not certain, but if not, I'm going to have to go get an SD card reader or something. Thank you all so much for joining me, and if you guys did enjoy this video, like I said, please do give it a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already and you'd like to be, hit the button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!